And Dr. Amstrup, just a little bit, you won the Indianapolis Prize this year, one of the foremost prizes in wildlife biology. How did you find out about being the recipient of this year's prize?
I was actually returning home from a trip to the East Coast, and I was in the Detroit airport, and Mike Crowther, the president of the zoo, called me. And when he said who it was, I thought, oh, there must be some procedural thing that I needed to still finish for the competition. And when he told me that I had been selected as the recipient, I didn't know what to do. I was scurrying around in the airport, not knowing whether to sit down or stand up or pass out. And it was pretty exciting. And it still is. It's a huge honor and a very humbling experience to find myself in this group. As I was growing up, I saw human habitation sort of growing around me. And at the time, I was interested in hunting and fishing, and I wanted to do what I could do to assure that future generations could do those same kinds of outdoor activities. And that grew later as I matured into a broader perspective of what can we do to minimize the impact of the ever-enlarging human footprint on the landscape and make sure that we can coexist with the other creatures out there.
You know, a lot of us have dreams as kids. I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a doctor. You really did live out that childhood dream. What advice would you have for the young students who are watching here today? What lesson is there in that for them?
Well, I think, my parents always said you can do anything you want to do. And so I took that to heart. And although a lot of my aunts and uncles and relatives would say, well, why would you want to go run around in the woods, But that's what I wanted to do. And I think if you're dedicated, you make up your mind what you want to do, you can do anything that you want. And just pursue it, get the right education, and be dedicated towards that aspiration. During the first 15 or even 20 years maybe of my career working on polar bears, the biggest concern we had was making sure that populations weren't being harvested at a greater rate than they could sustain. There was an increasing level of industrialization in the Arctic, so how could we deal with oil and gas activities and things like that and make sure that those human activities weren't affecting polar bears in a negative way? The last 10 years just became totally focused on the realization that we were losing polar bear habitat at a tremendous rate, and nothing is sustainable if their habitat can't be sustained. Polar bears have an incredible ability to navigate even after being moved a long distance in the blind. So we know this because my early work showed that polar bears could enter a den in the eastern Beaufort Sea of Alaska and drift in that den for 5 or 6 months and then emerge from the den with new cubs and come right back home. And sometimes they moved 800-900 miles.
What do you want your legacy to be?
Well, I'd really like to be able to see that society has taken action in time to save polar bears, and of course see the benefits that will mean to the rest of life on Earth. And if I can have contributed in some way to making that happen, that would be really important to me. That's my goal. If somebody could put that on my headstone, I'd think that'd be pretty important.